Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. This is going to be a No Post on Sundays, the series about computers that don't post, that may or may not be posted on a Sunday. I've got a grossy old HP here that doesn't post, and when you plug in the power cable it turns on by itself. Now that on its own is not wholly unremarkable. Quite a lot of OEM PCs, especially Dell's, do this. When you plug in the power, it'll turn on, do a quick post, and assuming that everything is okay, turn off so it's in standby, which is the state of a computer when it is plugged in and shut down. You know, there's hot rails in there, we're in S5. However, if there's a problem, it will stay on in order to emit a error code. And that looks like that's what this one is doing, because it is staying on, but not outputting a signal. And if I wait long enough, the fans will ramp up to panic mode. So I'm going to go and put on the coffee machine while I wait for that to happen. There we go. It's pretty loud. Okay, let's turn that off. Cool. So, we don't really have anything to go on. There was a light in the middle of the board that was labelled as aux. I'm guessing that's just 5VSB, which is 5 volt standby. So that doesn't tell us anything. It wasn't labelled erroneous or anything. We don't really have a lot else to go on. Do we have a beep speaker in this? Oh, there's our power supply. That flips out. Lovely, a hard drive. The front needs to come off for that all to flip up, I think. I kind of like desktop computers that just like unpack like a car bonnet like this. I built a small form factor in a case about this size many years ago, where just you could open it up and prop it up like a bonnet stand. It was kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, I don't see a beep speaker in this. And because it's all proprietary connectors, I don't know where we would plug one in. So let's start with the basics. Let's pop out that that BIOS battery, the RTC battery, and this will reset the BIOS. And as a friendly reminder, the so-called BIOS battery does not actually power the BIOS. All it does is just send a signal to the PCH, that's the chipset, and keeps the real-time clock running. And if the BIOS battery goes flat, then the PCH will tell the BIOS to erase its NV section, which is where the user preferences are stored. So the battery itself is not powering the chip. However, the PCH will tell the BIOS chip to reset its user parameters. Right, so the BIOS battery is at 3.1 volts, which is fine, basically. The range for these cells is 3.0 to like 3.34 kind of thing. So 3.1 is fine. Less than 3.1 in a laptop I would replace, because it's a pain in the ass to get to the battery in a laptop. In a desktop, I tend to let them run lower than that. Anything over 3.0 is fine, because, you know, it's not a big deal to replace this battery when it's flat. Laptop ones I do at less than 3.1 as preventative maintenance. Not because 3.1 is unacceptable, but because that's getting low, which means that it's likely to run further down before its next service. Fine. All right, so we have waited a polite amount of time. I will now plug that back in. And let's just see if this thing will go. Oh, close it back up, roughly. Ugh, I've just seen the carpet of dust on the front of this thing. Horrible. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything. I'm going to go and get the coffee from the coffee machine while I wait for it to think about its crimes. There we go. Alright, and the fans are starting to ramp up now. Okay, that's enough, Fine. Alright, let's check that the memory is in properly. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly just take this out back and shoot it. I mean, take it out back and blow the dust out. Because there's a huge carpet of dust on the front. I want to take the memory modules out and just it's going to get grotty here, and I've just brought in a cup of coffee, and I don't want all of the dust to go into my coffee. So I will blow the cobwebs out. I'll be right back again. Alright, now that's done, let's reseat the memory. I'm going to unplug some of these cables just to give you guys a better view. SATA. Alright, okay, I think you guys can see what's going on. So let's pop out both of these memory modules. Oh my days, it's 4 gigabytes. 2 by 2 of DDR3 10600. And yes, I've had a conversation with the customer about using an old computer, blah blah blah. I've kind of run out of patience for people doing this now. I'll tell them we shouldn't be fixing this, and I advise you replace this, and I'm not warranting this job. But if they don't listen to me, then I'll take their money. Because, yeah. Previously, I would try and, you know, like, get away from the job or blow them off or price them out of it or something like that. But I've run out of patience for it now. If people want to throw good money after bad, that's their choice. I will say to them directly, this is good money after bad. I do not advise fixing this, but if you want me to fix it, I'll fix it. Alright. So I've just basically taken those out, wiped the terminals, put them back in again. Let's see what happens. So we'll plug that in. I'll plug in the SATA cables as a treat. Lost track of which way round they went. It shouldn't matter. This thing does have a speaker on the front of it. I'm not sure if that'll do system beeps or not, though. A lot of office computers like this, they'll have a speaker built into them that is just a basic multimedia speaker. And a speaker like that doesn't necessarily do system beeps. So you can't rely on that to be your beep speaker. Yeah, that's taken off again. Okay. I'm going to take out the memory modules altogether. And I'll find another DDR3 module. And we'll just try some other memory in it. Right, I think this is DDR3. It's Kingston, so who knows? Because Kingston can't just tell you what their memory is. You have to look up their special numbers. Yeah, the pins line up, so it's definitely DDR3. Alright, good luck everyone. Let's go. Ah, there we go. It did something. Right, so it did you see that? We got a post screen, it posted and then turned off. Now it's turned back on again. Alright, that might have been a power cycle. Yeah, that's just straight up booting. Oh my god, it's still running 7. Oh man, I ain't dealing with that. If the customer asks me to service this, I'm going to be like, no. Where was I? Anyway, okay, so I don't think this computer is doing that OEM thing where it will turn on post and then turn off again. That's a Dell thing. I think this, I would imagine that the BIOS is just configured to turn on from a power cut anyway. Although we did a BIOS reset, and I wouldn't expect that to be the default. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is, it's working with different memory. So it's quite possible that one of these memory modules is busted. So now we're going to shut it down and we're going to start cycling through the different memory combinations to figure out which one is the broken condition. Right. I will actually do this at the honor of a clean shutdown, because if Windows 7 breaks, then I'm in for a world of hurt, and I don't want to deal with that. Right, so I'll take the working module out, and I'm going to put in just one of the customer modules. I've lost track of which one was in which slot, which doesn't matter, but it would have been helpful to know. But we're going to have to try all combinations anyway. So I plugged it in and it didn't turn on. All right. I'm going to unplug the SATA cables just so it doesn't try and boot into Windows every time, because we're going to be doing a lot of power cycles now. Ah, it beeped. 164 memory size error. Okay. Let's pull that out and let's just try the other. Let's try the other module and see what that does. See if that gives an error as well. I mean, to be honest, that might just be saying the amount of memory has changed. But I'm not sure why putting in my Kingston module didn't do that. This is probably a 4 GB module, so maybe it just didn't blink because it went from 2 times 2 to 1 times 4. Now, personally, I would class that as a change in size because the allocation of the memory has changed, but maybe it doesn't count. It's taking a while. I think it's not going to post. I'm going to give it some time just in case it's sulking. Alright, yeah, it's taken off again. Right, in that case, it seems incredibly likely that this memory module has failed. One more time, let's plug the other module in. So we're doing the double control test now to make sure that it's not a fluke and we're not just getting intermittent responses here. But to all accounts, it looks like this is dead. Yeah, that posted right away. Cool. Alright, there's a dead memory module. Doesn't happen very often, but it's not unheard of. One more test now. I'm going to move the module up to the 3rd slot. Oh, actually, no, the CPU is there, so I'm going to move the module from slot 4 to slot 2, and just make sure that slot works. And then I will go and rummage through my spares and see if I can find a 2 GB DDR3 module. Although, to be honest, I've probably got an 8 GB DDR3 kit in a box somewhere, and I might just stick that in there and send it. Because, like, you know, you look at that and you're like, oh, that's a nice Kingston HyperX Fury kit. It's DDR3, who cares? I'd give this stuff away into a customer PC, so. Right, to the mystery box of RAM. Right, I went digging for gold in the e-waste cupboard, and I've got a couple of nice-looking Kingston DDR3 kits here. This guy's an orphan, but I've got like 2 8 GB 1866 kits, and like these would work, but I can't bring myself to use those in this old thing because like this would actually these kits I've got, those would drop really nicely into like 4th gen Intel. Like a 4790K build or something like that. So I'm going to hold on to those. I did find this 4 GB module though. So it's not matched, but this will bump it up to 6 GB, so they get a little bit more memory. It won't be dual channel, but who cares? You know, the extra memory will probably help more than dual channel would in this instance. So I'm going to chuck that in there and just make sure that they will play nicely together. And I'm actually going to commit to this and plug all the cables in. You know, not going to lie, I still think Windows 7 looks awesome. It's a product of its time, but I still think it's actually kind of pretty and pleasant to look at. The thing about Windows 10 is that it went so deep into flat design to such an extreme that I think while initially it looked nice because it was different, it really was a step backwards in design-wise. 11 by comparison, I think 11 looks quite nice, but I digress. Anyway, this thing is working. It's got 6 gigs of RAM now, which is slightly less terrible than 4. The computer is old and terrible. Despite my nostalgia for Windows 7, Windows 7 is ancient and shouldn't be used anymore. Past that, thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye.